I think to me, love is very safe, secure. It feels like home. It feels like a place you want to visit over and over again. It feels like, like when you had a long day and you can't wait to get into your safe space. Love is that thing I run to at the end of a long day. I find that with the people I love, what I'm most drawn to is how they make me feel safe and how I can rest in their presence and be myself. As a mom, as a wife, as all these many different hats I wear, there comes responsibility. And, I find that my children are a safe space from the heavier things in the world. I can just escape into their world and forget everything else that happens. I feel like my husband is a safe space in terms of, my emotions and my thoughts and my hopes and dreams. With him, there's a safety in, I can share that with him, and there's always positive affirmations surrounding that with my parents, with my siblings. The safety of our experiences together, our history together, and like our hopes for the future together. It's like, and just knowing that your family will always have your back in that way. So I think for me, love feels safe, feels like home. It feels cozy. It feels like a warm, like a big hug. When you just can melt in someone's arms and you don't have to think twice. I just had a birthday. I just turned 32, and when I was coming into my new age, I was really reflecting on, how we do that toxic thing of all the things that you want to achieve this year. And one thing I love about my 30s is I'm just like chill. So got into this new year and I was like, I actually want to just focus on all the things that are going right in my life. And I just realized I have so much love in my life. Like I have my children, my husband, my parents, my friends, my siblings. Like I'm really surrounded by people who now I can comfortably say it wasn't always the case, but everywhere I turn to, I'm surrounded by genuine love that feels like this, evokes this feeling of safety, like I said. And if I can and my love is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Like when I really sit in what I'm blessed to experience every day with all the people in my life, I just feel very content. We're not perfect. Everyone has their things that we're working on. We have our difficulties and our issues. Life isn't perfect, but like if we can just focus on the things that make us feel joyful and positive, you'll find that in many, many ways there is love in your life. And if you can just go where you're watered, and you can just focus all your energy there. I think the first time I thought I was in love, I was probably about 17. And it felt very exciting. It felt very, I was like very giddy about it, but there was a lot of, how love is when you're young, or what you think is love when you're young. It was just very up and down. There was just a lot of emotional hurdles, and you just think that in many ways, I remember thinking that was part of it. And so that like falling in love as a child, was a 17-year-old child, 16, 17, it felt very unsafe. It felt very unsafe, to be honest. But it was fun. It was fun. And like at 17, what do you have to lose? Just fall recklessly in love and be silly and like see what happens. And I did see. I did see, but I have no regrets. All the people I've given love to in this life, I have no regrets. I came from a very loving background. My parents were very obsessed with their children, and they really poured a lot into us. So we moved through life knowing that we were loved first. I never really had to doubt. I never had any doubts on whether I was loved or cherished. And I think that is why love to me feels like safety. In terms of the values, my mother is the first and most prominent person in my mind that taught me how to love, because she, your mother loves you before anyone, like even from the womb, you could feel that energy. And science has shown that there's even some science to it to even prove how that love bond stays forever. But like, I think a lot of how I love today mirrors how my mother loves as well. We're very giving of ourselves, we're very sacrificial. We're very like, my mom is more of a harder shell than I am. I'm more of a Teletubby. Everybody can enter inside. My mom is more tough on the outside. But once you get to the heart of her, we're the same in the sense that she will go above and beyond. I think we're very big on acts of service. And acts of service is not even my love language, I would say. But I find that that's how I give love. I show up for my people. I'm very big on affirmations. I speak life over my people. I love you with, like, I'm the first person to say to you all the good things I think about you, because I think it's so important that the people I love hear why I love them, and not just the superficial I love you. I want to tell you I love how you think. I love how you process information. I love how you care about people. I think it's important to let humans know the line by line item. What is it? What exactly is it in my totality that you can pick out to say, oh, I love this about you? And I also love being told that as well. I love when people can tell me specifically the things that they value and see in me that are like, I'm a very big words of affirmation girl, which is not always good. And when you're looking for like a life partner, red flag. But if you can get past your need for validation in that way and just go into the heart of it and be in a situation that allows you feel authentically, and trust the person that's speaking over you, then you can just accept it and give it in return. I feel like for me, the way I show love is very childlike and I throw joy around like confetti, and it's intentional because that's really how I feel on the inside. I feel very like content and happy with life. So why not just give that to people? I feel like it's what and the craziest thing, how I know that's exactly what my children mirror to me. Like when my daughter is 4 now, and when I watch her with her brother, she's a cheerleader. Good job. You're doing such a good job. She's like, oh, my boy. She has very affectionate with him, and it just makes me, and like, I feel God tell me that's you. Like, that's you. That's your husband. That's what they see. That's what your friends, your family that you brought around them. So it's like a beautiful mirror to the love I have within me when I see my children and how they love on each other. And my son is 1, but even at 1, he's able to show emotions that make me feel like I'm doing a good job in terms of like, at least these kids know they're loved, and they're able to give that love to each other in a way that if I wasn't even there, before I hear, mommy is printing my dress, I would have heard, don't do that, please. Can you help me? It's very like and she's, when my son started walking, and I have this video, it's actually on TikTok, of my daughter cheering my son on as he's walking. And like if you even pay attention to like the subtle interactions, she gives him a toy, he's crying. She gives him back, she takes a toy from him, he's crying, she gives it back. Instead of holding it away from him, she'd have it take. And then he's walking and she's genuinely like excited for him at this new life stage and milestone. And she's like, and I'm just like, that's me. That's actually how I process things like that. Like, it's almost like your heart outside your chest, just walking and living and doing things. So your children are a reflection of the love that you give to people, because they are the biggest collectors of the love that you pour out. So seeing them reflect that back to me is solid. One of the people in my life that I know that really, really loves me is my best friend, Libinka. Don't want to cry. And she's the kind of person that can just call me and be like, oh, I'm praying for you about a certain thing and I want to know specifically what to pray for. You know, we've been friends since we were 17. No, yeah, I was 17, she was 16. And it's just one of those, like a big love in my life, because it's one of the longest outside of my immediate family, and I think it's the same for her as well. Where we've actually just been very intentional with each other, and how I think she just sees me, you know, she just sees me. She's always, you know, a friend that can say about you, I don't think that's good for you. I was wondering why you went there. I've been telling, you know, someone that knows you in a way that they can read you, and like Rika she can drag me. And like, I love that I have a safe space in her in that way, where we check each other. You know, when I talked to her about my now husband for the first time, and I would speak about him, she would always mirror to me, you're going to marry this person, you know. And I said the same to her about her now husband when we were both pregnant and we went through pregnancy, and now we're mothers together. Like, just seeing how we're there for each other, and that's a big love in my life. And it's been how she set the bar so high for friendships that it's hard now to but God is kind, and people have come into my life since even just the time we've been friends, and I'm because of her, she's taught me so much about how I receive love and give love, and how not to give too much and you're doing too much, because I can be very, you know, I can be very unguarded. I can just be childlike, right? And she's very sensible in the way she loves, that she loves hard, and she's a softie, but before, she's kind of like my mom in the way, before you enter into that shell, you would. So she, being her friend for so long, has shifted and molded my idea of love in a way that has, I think, is just so beautiful. She's a big influence on my life. I would say, how else do I receive love? Or how do I know I'm loved? That's why I think that's why because you asked the question, how do you know you're loved? And that's one person I know that loves me. She loves me. My husband loves me too, but he's quite private. I don't want to talk about him too much. But I will say this though about him. Sorry. I think he was one of the first people to love me authentically, like honestly. I'm not going to say this because it's nice. I'm going to tell you what you don't want to hear. But I'm going to say with so much love that you can't doubt that it's coming from a good place, but it's the truth. I think one of the ways I knew I had to marry him was that he had a way, because I struggle with criticism, but he has a way of passing the message across that you can't doubt that there's love in the message. Does that make sense? You know how some people criticize you and you're like not unsure of where you stand with them. You know, he would tell you about yourself, or he would tell me about myself in a way that would just give me that safety. Like, okay, you have someone solid here that's always going to tell you the truth. And it's very good to trust, to be in a relationship where you can just trust someone in that way, with big things and small things, you know, to be able to be like, and what do you think? And genuinely, whatever that person thinks, I can be like, well, okay, this is what we're doing because you said, because I trust you in that way. With my brothers and my brothers, I think they trained me for motherhood, because I'm the first and they're my younger brothers. So being their older sister, I've always been a protective mommy type of second mom, you know, and they're not even that much older than me. I don't know what my problem is, but I mean, they're not that much younger than me. Being their big sister it definitely prepared me for motherhood. It taught me how to nurture, how to take care of people, and for that I'll always be grateful. And now now that I'm older, I feel like they're loving me back the way I want to be loved. You know, they're excellent uncles to my children. and they just seeing them become is just very exciting for me. I love watching them unfold into the men that I know they're still growing up to be. With my childhood, there was a lot of, like, there were times when I felt unsafe in terms of, friendships and relationships, where I felt like, because I am very soft. I'm a soft girl forever and always, and I've always been. And I like to go to places where my softness will not be. I don't want anybody to turn me into a hard babe. It's not even on brand for me. So if you're not loving me in the way that allows me to be my most authentic, soft self, stranger danger, red flag. So, and I've been in situations when I was younger where I didn't feel like I could be as soft as I am. And so now in my adulthood, and I thank God for the wisdom, because I found my husband at 21. We started dating when I was 21, 22, got married at 26. But to have the wisdom to know then to find someone that allowed me stay soft can only be God, because how many wisdom was really in my head, to make that choice for myself. But from that though, I think from being in the marriage I'm in, I think I've learned how to now just find love that feels safe. Safety is because if you're safe, you can be yourself. If you're safe, you can bloom, you can grow, because there's grace for you to fall, get up, fall, get up, fall, get up. And if that sense of safety isn't there, you can't thrive. If you know me, you know I'm actually a Jesus girl through and through, so I have no shame speaking about my personal Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. It's literally not even a secret that the greatest love I've ever experienced has to be the love of God for me. I can only speak for me because of what I've gotten out of it. I genuinely feel like when you get to a place of deep understanding of the love God has for you, it informs everything else. It informs how you see yourself. It informs how you understand the world. It informs how you love and receive love. It informs what you can receive as love and what you know isn't love. The greatest love to me is the love that God has for humanity, the love that God has for me, how He moves through time and space to prove to me that He loves me. And one of the ways God has done that, even in my life today, is through my children. I remember one time my daughter, she broke something very valuable to me, and she came to show me with the things in her hand, and she was like scared and sad, and I could see the fear and the anxiety on her little face, and I was just like, God, it's okay, don't worry, it's fine, it's just a vase, it's fine. And in that moment, God was like, this is me and you sometimes, where you do something wrong and you think I've thrown you away, and it's like, how can I, so the greatest love I've experienced is the love of God for me, and how He will move through time and space to prove to me and to show me that He doesn't play when it comes to me. And that is really the bedrock that's where I draw all of my peace and sanity from. I think for me, I feel like trust is the most important element in a relationship. Once that's broken, that's when you find that it's hard to build on that. Like that foundation, I think my prayer every day is for me to just not break that, or for us to not break our trust to each other, because I know that for me it would be tough to rebuild if that's gone. And for most people that you find that are going through, tough times or having relationship issues, is that there's no trust anymore. Because if there's no trust, then I can't be vulnerable with you. If there's no vulnerability, I can't communicate honestly. I can't be myself. I'm guarded. What use is a relationship where everyone is so guarded, I feel like in order for relationships to thrive, you have to invest in cultivating a safe space. It all goes back to this thing of safety, which is why for me, love for me equals safety, because the only way a human being can thrive is if they feel safe. Nobody thrives in a fearful or a guarded environment, you need to know that there is nothing that can attack you in this space, so you can relax and be your authentic self. And I feel like once that is gone, in terms of the trust, and you can't be vulnerable and you can't communicate honestly and openly, then you're left in a bad situation. But some people say trust can be rebuilt, and I'm sure it can for some, but I don't know. I think romantically, those are the things you should guard with everything. Trust is probably the most important. I can't even lie to you. I want to say it's something else, but I feel like without that break, its foundation, it breaks everything. It breaks everything else. I think one of the things that I've discovered in my 32 years is that a life without self-love is empty. If you're constantly moving through life with a bucket, waiting for other people to pour love into you, you finished yourself. Can't lie. You need to be able to give that love to yourself first. One of the best things I did for myself, and I think I did this around when did I start loving myself truly? Must have been around my 30th birthday. I can't lie to you, which is so sad. When I really started like actively loving myself, like I would date myself, take myself out. What do you, things that I'll be waiting for somebody to do for me. Oh, I wish someone would just know that I love books and buy me books. I bought myself books. I wish someone would just know that I love flowers and buy me flowers. I started buying myself flowers. Started doing things for myself because you are the only person that knows how to love you. Truly. Other people will bring their understanding of you and try and give you parts of you, but you have the full knowledge of yourself. So why would you wait for somebody else to love you how you like to be loved? I don't understand. Like, why don't you just give that love to yourself and then let people learn from how you love yourself? That, this is what she likes. That's how I learned to love my mom. My mom is the biggest self-love queen, and I don't think she knows when she does it. She's just the kind of person that whatever it is she feels she needs, she just does it for herself. So for those of us around her who love her, it's hard to gift her something because she's already done it for herself. So you're just adding on to that. And it's an extremely beautiful example of for womanhood, because we're constantly giving ourselves to people. And if you're not giving yourself, if you're not a mom yet, you're a daughter to somebody who's taking everything from you. You're a sibling to people who need things from you. Your friends need things, your work, your life. You're always, and women were nurturers, so we're always pouring out. And I feel like motherhood taught me that if you don't pour back into yourself, you will deplete yourself and you will crash and burn. So self-love for me now is survival. It's no longer just a nice to have. It's actually a necessity. If I'm unable to give myself the love I need, small things, big things, I need a spa day. It would be nice for someone to do that for me. If it's not happening, mama, do it yourself. And don't be resentful. Just love yourself. I feel like I waited for a long time for other people to love me how I wanted to be loved. But I'm finding now that I'm teaching the people in my life how to love me by just loving myself the way So instead of, what's the name of that spa you like so much? Okay, let's go there. They know because I've gone there. Or what's the name of that, thing that you love to do? Oh, Feyi loves this. How do they know? Because they see me do it and they see the joy well up in me when I do those things. So I genuinely, there was a year in my life, and I've talked about this so many times, where I was active I was performing something called active self-love, where, if I'm not active, radical self-love, where I started therapy, and my therapist had asked me, what do you do for fun? And I couldn't answer because I genuinely, at that point, I had a new baby. I wasn't having fun. Life was very serious. And she basically asked me a question, said, as a child, what did you enjoy doing? Do you still enjoy those things? And I was like, I don't know. She said, do you want to revisit those things to see if you enjoy them still? And I went down to all my childhood, hobbies. reading, writing. I used to be a blogger, blogging. I used to be a photographer for taking pictures. Going back to all the things that brought me joy as a kid, some of them were now no longer serving me, but somewhere like, and then I discovered new things on the way. And it's like, once you live your life as though it's your life and you stop waiting for someone to like start the match, like the match, and for your life to start, you kind of realize that you're actually in this thing. Why not just be an active participant in it and have fun? Like, we find that I found for me that I was always waiting for somebody else to start my life for me. That's such a bloody waste of time. Like, start your life for yourself. Be as fun, as reckless, as radical as you want to be, as long as it's good, safe, clean fun. But like, love on yourself. Do the things that you need. Like, give yourself the thing that you need somebody else to get. Why not just figure out what that looks like for you to give that to yourself? Like, I'm a big words of affirmation girl. I started affirming myself every day. And it's not even that, and it's not like my partner couldn't do it, but even in relationship, for relationship to thrive, don't put that burden on another person. Carry yourself, carry yourself fully. Don't give the job of love to someone. You're supposed to make me happy. Don't put your happiness in someone else's hands. That's setting them up for failure, because they will always fall short, because again, you're the only one that knows fully how to love yourself. And being even on that journey of self-love is so sweet. I can't even explain. It's so delicious to me now, especially now with children, where I can't even get time alone to do things. Now, being in my own company, I take myself out on dates. You will catch me at a restaurant by myself. Oh, don't interrupt me. Don't feel sorry for me. I'm actually having a good time. Don't even come and join me. You catch me, I'm reading books now. I'm diving into books. I'm like writing, I'm podcasting, I'm speaking to my friends. I'm having open and honest, vulnerable conversations. That's my jam. I don't know if you can tell. And if I can tell, that's one of the things I love to do. And like, now I'm just trying to create more opportunities for me to do the things I love, because that is radical self-love, and that's where I'm at now. Lessons learned in love. You know what? As I said that now, the only thing that comes to my mind is that chapter in Corinthians: love is patient, love is kind, doesn't boast, doesn't envy, it's not prideful, doesn't hold grudges. And I don't know why it's making me emotional. I feel like I'm about to cry, which is very rash. But I think why it's making me emotional is when I think of everyone in my life right now that I hold to high esteem and love. They mirror that to me, where we are able to be easy with each other and extend grace with each other and not hold grudges and extend, like I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who I hadn't seen in a long time, because motherhood and life, and she said something, just forgive me, I already understand. Like, everyone in my life, if I'm like, oh my God, I've offended this person, or I should have done this person needed this, or this person needed me here. But yeah, I did need you, but it's okay. I understand. And that for me is one of the biggest lessons I've learned. If you really love someone, you extend them grace, you extend them kindness, you don't hold on to grudges. When you find that the love is toxic, it's not love, there's codependency, there's obsession, there's weird power dynamics, there's all sorts of other things that play masking as love. True love is easy, it's peaceful. If you feel unsafe in a love situation, if you feel like you can't rest, run. It's not love. In a friendship, in a romantic situation, even family, if you don't feel like you can rest and you can be at ease and you can be yourself, and there's forgiveness, there's grace, there's room for error. I made a mistake, I'm sorry, it's okay. I didn't want to, I'm sorry, it's okay. Or I fell short here, I'm sorry. It should always be okay. Even if we're going to squabble, even if we're going to have a conversation, even if there are going to be words shared, at the end of it, we should always be able to find a way to extend grace. And I think once there isn't that, have your boundaries, of course. And another thing about me another lesson I've learned in love is I can love you from afar. If you have the capacity to hurt me, I will love you from afar. You call me, you need me, I'll be there for you, but there will always be a distance because I'm so guarded with my Bible says guard your heart because out of it flows the things of life. I don't take that to heart. I really have every intention of being in my soft girl era for life. And I don't want anything to taint that for me. So I do believe in another lesson I've learned in love is to love from afar if need be. If you and I, our spirits cannot be together in peace and harmony, I can love you from a distance. Because one thing I won't do is second guess myself in anybody's life. I spent my whole 20s doing that madness. At 30, 32, I don't do it anymore. If I feel like you don't love me like that, it's okay. I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and that's okay. There's some people that are crazy about me, there's people that think I'm crazy. And the ones that are for me, I run to them wholeheartedly. And the ones that are on the fence about me, it's okay. And just having that understanding that in life, you can't be everybody's best. You can't be everybody's. Some people are going to think you're the worst person in the world. And that's going to have to be okay. And so, yeah, that's one of the lessons I've learned. Another lesson I've learned in love is that true love can heal, good love can heal. It has the power to not just heal, it will first of all show you what's wrong with you. Love will expose you. Love can show you what's wrong with you because if you're in a situation where all we have is love and then there's something else that's brewing, you can actually be like, who is this? How did this enter the conversation? This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. I'll give you an example. For me, like I mentioned, I struggle with criticism. So when someone is telling me off, or not telling me off, but if you're even trying to give me notes on life, say, I think you should do this differently. My antenna is already like, I don't understand. What do you mean? And my fists are already up. And one time I had a conversation with someone whom I love very dearly where the person was like, I love you and you know I love you. Why would you think that I'm trying to attack you or come for you? You need to put your fist down and and maybe it's your tone. Maybe I don't like your tone. There's actually nothing wrong with my tone. You know I'm not speaking out of tone. It's that your mind already, there's a trauma there that you need to deal with because I'm saying these words to you with all the love in my heart for you, but you can't receive it and love exposed to me my traumas. Another thing, my children have exposed to me that I'm very impatient. I don't like to wait on little people to figure things out. I'm literally teaching my daughter how to read. And it's like, that's not the word. What do you read? I found that I'm very impatient because I need to be patient with a child that's learning how to read. All they need is patience. And sometimes I can't even give that. So love will expose you. I've learned. What advice would I give to my younger self about love? I would say learn more about your Heavenly Father and how He loves you, because then that would inform how you feel, what you think you deserve. I wouldn't even say, I feel like with my younger self, obviously she needed to hear you're good enough, you deserve, all these things. But I think the most important thing I would tell my younger self, because it's exactly what I'm trying to teach my daughter and my son now, is once you know who you are in your Heavenly Father, once you know who you are to God, it really does build your self-esteem, and it helps you understand that you deserve, not just that you deserve, but that it is actually your birthright to be joyful and to be happy and to be at peace and to have, the Bible says surely goodness and mercies will follow you all the days of your life. They will chase after you. So if you are a child of a God that assures you of that, why would you settle for less than goodness and mercy? So I feel like what I would tell my younger self is get to know Jesus so that you can know what you deserve. Because through that relationship, you'll figure it out. If you have that, you won't miss your way, because God's love is so good that He will even watch your back. Things you don't even know are playing in the background. God is watching, God is clearing, God is shifting. There were times when I could have met other, when I was younger and I was growing up, there were so many people if you want to be friends with this person, or you want to be surrounded by this person, or you have a crush on this person, and it's like, I could see how God blocked those things for me. And now with age, I'm like, man, thank you, Jesus, for that. Thank you for sorting. That would have been a death. That would have been death, because there was no safety in that situation. And I can't tell my younger self anything else outside of just learn who God is to you, so that that can inform how you move through the world, and how you receive love, how you give love, how you give self-love. Like, I find myself in situations where my self-love voice in my head is actually God's voice. It's not even anybody else. It's not my husband's voice, not my parents' voice. It's God's voice. I find myself saying things like, you're fearfully and wonderfully made. You're altogether beautiful. There's no flaw in you. Like, that's what God says about me. So if you even receive information from anyone that is contrary to what God says, you can be like, no, that's fake news, actually. That's not true. I don't subscribe to that. That's not me. Because it's not what God says about me. It's not what I've absorbed as my truth about myself.